Oh, yeah! Oh my God! Oh! Oh! Oh my God! So here it is, the LEGO Star Wars Venator-Class Republic Attack Cruiser. The set number is 75367. The piece count is 5,374. It's going to retail for $650 US. It's going to go on sale, mark your calendar, October 1st of 2023. I have waited over a decade to finally get a Venator UCS set.
It would be great if they make an Ultimate Collector series of this, which is like huge and it's very detailed.
I just never thought it would happen. And here it is. It's real. It's real. This is just crazy. If we take a look through the box art, you'll see that there's multiple different angles of the Venator. Beautiful, beautiful box art here. I love every single angle that LEGO's chosen. I think my favorite is actually this top portion right here. This looks like the kind of top down that you see on the beginning of the Revenge of the Sith opening. On the bottom here, as you might expect, at the bottom of the box, you have the bottom of the Venator. Not for sale sticker. I do want to thank LEGO for sending this set over for review. As we make our way to the back of the box, boy, is this thing absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to build this. We also noticed that it's 43 inches or 109 centimeters here. There is, of course, a printed plaque that is now a standard for LEGO Star Wars UCS sets. But what I didn't expect is a 20th anniversary brick. I wonder if that's printed or a sticker. We'll find out shortly. I'm also noticing big improvements like the stand design. The UCS Imperial Star Destroyer that came out in 2019 had probably one of the weakest stands I have ever seen on a UCS set. Every time I moved that thing from house to house, it would just absolutely crumble. So I'm happy to see that it looks to be a much more sturdy stand. And I will be comparing the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer towards the end of the review, so stick around for that. We have a printed plaque, and I didn't expect this, a 20th anniversary Clone Wars brick. I wonder if that's printed or not. We're getting two brand new and exclusive minifigures, Phase 2 Captain Rex and Admiral Yularen. Rex here is a huge deal because it's the first time that we've gotten the minifigure in over a decade. The last time we saw him, and the only time, was the 2013 Bark Speeder. And if you know the LEGO Star Wars community, you know that Phase 2 Captain Rex goes for an absurd amount on the aftermarket, over $200. So it is very exciting to finally see the return of such an important character from the Clone Wars. Admiral Yularen is a first that we've never gotten before. It is Anakin Skywalker's main admiral. We also have multiple images of Star Wars The Clone Wars from the animated show here on the bottom of the box, and one image from Revenge of the Sith. So love the appreciation to both Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith for this set. So much to love about this box art. It looks so good from every single angle. So I don't know about you guys, but I am so ready to finally build this Venator. It is the set of my dreams. And honestly, opening this box is going to be quite the emotional roller coaster for me. Make sure you go check out the time-lapse video. It's a full unboxing of the Venator, plus showing how this Venator comes together. So I'll link that video down in the description or in the top right or left corner here on the video. Make sure you check out that. And without further ado, let's go into the in-depth of the Venator-Class Republic Attack Cruiser. So here it is, the Venator. Finally, in Ultimate Collector Series form, and it's even better than I ever could have imagined. As you can see, there's details pretty much on every single side of this vessel. We'll go through all of that over the next few minutes. There's plenty to talk about with this set. But first, what was the unboxing experience like? Well, as you can see, there's multiple boxes that are inside the main box, and they have Revenge of the Sith prints and concept art, which looks absolutely fantastic. As for building this set, well, you can expect 48 8 numbered bags before you get to the end of it. In total, I think it was about 8 hours or so of build time. The first of 4 instruction booklets, of course, has an introduction from the lead of LEGO Star Wars, Jens, and is greeted by some Clone Wars art. We also find out that Hans, the same designer of the UCS gunship, is responsible for designing the UCS Venator, which I found to be quite interesting. I always love when UCS sets have to show you how to hold the set properly. Remember guys, don't hold the Venator from its ends. Next, we have stickers. There is 6 of them on this set, which is unfortunate to see given the price tag you're paying for, especially the fact that the Republic symbols are stickers. Next, we have minifigures, first of which is Admiral Yularen. This is the first time that we've ever gotten this character before, and it's also the very first time that we've gotten a Republic officer in LEGO minifigure form, so this is kind of a big deal, and the figure looks fantastic. Next is Phase 2 Captain Rex. Now at first, when I saw the leaks of this minifigure, I was kind of against the design. I didn't think it looked right, excluding of course the waistcape print, but now that I've had a closer look, especially at those arm prints, this figure is actually really solid in my opinion, and that's coming from someone who's been customizing LEGO Clone Troopers for many, many years now. You can also notice that he has both a cloth pauldron and printed part. This is how the previous iteration 10 years ago was. Following that, Rex has a special custom head print with a little bandage from when he got his chip removed. Lastly, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the printed waistcape. This is unacceptable given a $650 price tag, so this is what a actual waistcape looks like on Rex. Thankfully, you can remedy this with a custom cape, link down in the description if you want to buy one, but seriously, this should have come with the set. Like all Ultimate Collector Series sets, you have a stand included. In this case, you can put both Admiral Yularen and Captain Rex right beside the main printed plaque. And speaking of which, you can pause the video right now and read all the fun specs about the Venator-Class Star Destroyer. On the right of the plaque is another printed piece, something I definitely didn't expect in this set, which is a 20th anniversary Clone Wars brick, and this is most likely an exclusive for this set and this set only. Finally, we can make our way onto the actual set. But first, there's something worth highlighting here. If you have a keen eye, and some of you might have already pointed this out, the bridge is dark red. And if you look at most Venators, especially in Revenge of the Sith, they have light bluish gray bridges. So what's the deal? What is this in reference to? Well, actually, I really appreciate this detail because what this does is signify a Venator specifically only seen in Star Wars The Clone Wars. This is known as the flagship Venator. It's normally the one that the Jedi generals are in command of. Notably, throughout Star Wars The Clone Wars, you see Plo Koon, Anakin Skywalker, and Mace Windu's Venator with this dark red bridge. Now, because Captain Rex and Admiral Yularen come with the LEGO Venator set, it's pretty much a safe bet to say that this is Anakin Skywalker's flagship set, or also known as the Resolute. But there's no official mention of that anywhere, both on the plaque or box, so this really could be any Jedi General's Venator, which is kind of cool. I like that. So you're probably wondering, how's the Venator, David? Well, it's pretty freaking fantastic. I have fallen in love with this set over the last week. It is absolutely beautiful from every single angle. There is some critiques I can make though. It's not a perfect set and we're going to go through them over the next few minutes. But overall, the shaping is absolutely there. But first, let's go underneath the Venator and see that there is actually some details, more than I thought there would be, underneath the Venator. Notably, as you make your way further back underneath the set, you'll see that there is more and more details to be found. There's some red stripes, there's some nice greebling there in the middle, and there is the underside hangar bay where sometimes you see it actually be utilized in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Just like the top of the Venator, you'll find another giant red line going underneath of it. It's also worth noting that there really isn't too much detail here in particular, no tiling or anything like that, but that makes sense. You won't really see this, and I wouldn't want that extra cost just for something you don't really see that often. But what you will see are those 8 ion thrusters on the back side of the Venator. I think LEGO knocked these out of the park, and it's actually very well engineered. You know, you would think these giant engines popping out would start to bend and warp, but there's some really great side building techniques that are being utilized here to make sure that those don't bend down over time. I was very impressed while putting these together. There's also some really great parts usage, utilizing some Technic vehicle hubcaps as well as power miner pieces, all in that dark metallic gray, which looks really good. And then as we go upwards, we make our way to the double bridge. There's some great parts usage and techniques being utilized in this area. Originally, I thought putting tiles between clips is illegal, but apparently it's not anymore, so that's cool, I guess. The two bridges are emphasized utilizing a little bit of trans blue pieces there. Below the bridge are the heavy turbo laser turrets, 4 on each side, 8 in total. Now these turrets look very accurate, just like what you see on the Venator in both Revenge of the Sith as well as the Clone Wars. You can remove them, you can turn them around, you can move the actual cannons themselves. It's really up to you how you want to position these. I will say they're a little bit on the fragile side, so you do want to be a little careful with them, but again, this is mostly a display set. Next is by far one of my most disappointing aspects for the Venator set, which is this 6x6 tile with a sticker on it. This is the symbol of the Open Circle Fleet, which is a main part of the Venator and should have been a printed piece given the price that you're paying. There is some more stickers in the middle of the Venator, and to me these are acceptable given how they're just a little detail, not nearly as big of a deal as that symbol. Something that a lot of fans have been wondering about is whether the Venator would have an interior, myself included. Well, there is a little micro interior with a little micro gunship utilizing just 3 little pieces. This little interior is just 2 bricks deep, so it's really nothing crazy. On the opposite side, you can see that this is a closed door, whereas the other side is an open door. Next, as we move closer to the front of the Venator, we have this turret here. This is on both sides of the vessel, and as you can see, it is not movable. It is indeed stuck in place, so it's really just there for display purposes only. A little bit disappointing, but understandable. Now, for those of you wondering, would it have been possible for LEGO to have included a deeper, bigger interior than just that little micro hangar bay for the gunship? The answer is yes. There is actually more space, especially where that hangar area is, but you can see that there's a little brick extending where the hangar is, so I understand why that isn't super deep, but behind that there is a lot of open space. Now, as for the dark red line that goes down the front of the Venator where the Venator opens up, revealing the actual hangar bay where the gunships and all of that are. As you can see, there is a giant beam that comes through the entire set to hold it together, so that's an engineering reason why that feature isn't there. But I do think a good argument can be made that LEGO could have had a little panel come off the backside where those red lines are and include some type of micro or mini interior. Unfortunately, that just isn't the case. Lastly is just talking about the greebles or the little bits of detail that you see throughout the Venator. How was this achieved? Was it done right? Did LEGO do a good job? The answer, in my opinion, is they did a mostly good job. I think that pretty much every main area of the Venator, both on the side, top, and a little bit on the bottom, has some great greebles, some great details. There's even some trans-light blue pieces being utilized underneath those grill pieces that you're seeing right now on screen. So there's actually a good opportunity to put some lights in there and really light those up so you really see the blue a little bit more prominently. That might be something I do in the future, utilizing some third-party lights, like light my bricks. Now, I will say that I am a little bit disappointed with the greebles and details here behind the bridge. As you can see, they're just normal LEGO slopes there. I think a little bit more detail could have been done in this area. It's really not something you're going to be looking at a ton of the time, so really you're going to be focusing more on the front side here. But still, I would have appreciated those details even behind the bridge, just so that everything's covered. So now we get on to the final bit. I know this is a very long review, but here's what you've all been waiting for. What does the UCS Venator look like next to the UCS Star Destroyer? Now, I imagine the first impression most of you are having is, wow, the UCS Star Destroyer looks quite a bit bigger than the Venator, more than maybe you were expecting. And you might think that the Star Destroyer is bigger, and you're kind of right and you're kind of wrong. It is actually the same length between the two vessels. As you can see here, that extra tail that the Venator has really sticks out towards the end and matches the length of the Star Destroyer. Really, the Star Destroyer is just taller and a little bit wider. Now, while the Imperial Star Destroyer has since been retired, it originally retailed for $700 US, meaning that there was a $50 difference between these two sets. Do you feel like there's a $50 difference in terms of size? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm inherently biased here, but I much prefer the Venator over the Star Destroyer, but that's because I grew up with the prequels and Clone Wars. And speaking of which, what does the UCS gunship look like next to the Venator? Honestly, I'm quite surprised to see how big the gunship looks like right alongside the Venator. These are two Republic vessels, and I gotta say, it's pretty awesome seeing them side by side, even though they're way out of scale from each other. I still think 2 years later, the gunship holds its own. It's still a great UCS set. Next, we have the Razor-Crest, which retails for $600, so there's only a $50 difference between these two sets, and I gotta say, the Razor-Crest is fairly large against the Venator. Again, I'm still gonna choose the Venator, but both sets are solid. Next is the other UCS set released in 2023, which is Luke Skywalker's X-Wing Starfighter. This is actually, again, a fairly big set next to the Venator. Now, I'm sure some of you were wondering what this set, the Coruscant Guard gunship, looks like next to the Venator, so now you have your answer. I think it's safe to say there's a big size difference. Then we have the Concorde, which just got released a few weeks ago, and as you can see, both sets are about the same size of each other, surprisingly. Given that there's a $450 difference, that is pretty crazy. Next, I saved the best for last, which is the playset Venator 8039, one of my all-time favorite LEGO Star Wars sets growing up as a kid. This is what the playset Venator looks like next to the all grown-up UCS Venator, and it is wonderful seeing these two side by side. Now, obviously, the original playset had absolutely horrible proportions, but it is just really cool seeing these two sets side by side after all this time. Now, something I noticed in the instruction booklet is that the designer of the set said that the UCS Venator is twice the size of the playset, and I can confirm that. I'm not joking. The UCS Venator is literally exactly twice the size of two of the playset Venator from 2009. That is absolutely crazy and is really funny to see in person. I've got to say, it was really lucky that I had two of these sets on hand. And I've got to admit, now that I see what three Venators look like next to each other, I might have to be making a purchase here in the next few weeks. Maybe 2 purchases, if you know what I mean. So while there absolutely is some flaws, mainly the open fleet circle symbol being a sticker is the biggest pain point for me personally, and the fact that there really isn't a crazy interior to this set is disappointing too. This is still a great UCS set. So what more can be said about the Venator? It's not perfect. There is definitely some flaws, some things I think LEGO should have done differently. But is it the set of my dreams? Does it look like what I'd imagine a UCS Venator to be? Absolutely. I love this set. Even with its flaws, even with some areas of improvement, I truly think this is the greatest LEGO UCS set we have ever gotten. Now, that is very biased of me to say that, but I grew up with Star Wars: The Clone Wars. That is inherently my Star Wars. Some people grew up with the prequels. Some people grew up with the original trilogy. Heck, some people grew up with the sequel trilogy. But for me, the Clone Wars is how I started my YouTube channel. It is a big deal that we get the Venator. Up until now, the UCS gunship was my favorite. This, the Venator, absolutely tops it. It is the set, the crown jewel for any Star Wars: The Clone Wars fan out there. If you love LEGO and you love the Clone Wars, I see no reason other than the price tag not to pick up this set. Now, the Venator is not without flaw. First off, Captain Rex absolutely should have had a waistcape. That is a little unacceptable for $650. Now, thankfully, there is an easy remedy. You can get a custom cape or you can get a LEGO cape and just put it on there and covers up the print area. It's not that big of a deal, but still, the price that you're paying for this set, I would have expected a little cloth piece on Rex. The next gripe that I have with the Venator is the stickers. While there's only 6 stickers, and when you compare that to the newly released Green Gots, for example, that had 50 stickers, so 6 is pretty low. And I wouldn't have had an issue with the stickers except for the fact that they didn't print these Republic symbols right here. I really feel like these 6x6 tiles should have been printed. There is so many new LEGO sets that are coming out, say the Concorde or the Hogwarts architecture style set, that had all printed pieces for much lower prices. And right now there's only 2 printed pieces in the set, which are the plaques here. And while those plaques are great and I'm glad they're printed, I still think LEGO could have gone a little bit further and printed these 6x6 tiles. Even if that means the set costs another $10, $20, I would have paid it just to have printed 6x6 tiles. That is a big deal because stickers over time will peel, will deteriorate, and that's happened on my other LEGO sets, and I just don't want that to happen on such a beautiful set like the Venator. Lastly, we have design choices. I know fans would have absolutely gone crazy if if the red part here would have opened up like we see in the Clone Wars and had a little miniature hangar with gunships and ATTEs and Y-Wings. That would have been really awesome. But at the beginning of the instructions, it was very clear from a designer interview that the designer had to create like this large superstructure inside the Venator so that the Venator doesn't simply break in half because of all the tail weight here on the back end. I mean, think about it. You have all the weight back here and barely any up here, so you need a structure strong enough in the middle that can hold all that together without bending under the pressure. That is a big design challenge, so I totally understand that. I do think there was an opportunity here to like create like an opening panel like you see on the UCS Falcon for a little micro interior of maybe some hallways. I think you could have thrown in like a little micro Darth Maul, micro clone troopers, maybe 332nd style, those little micro figures. You could have had a little micro scene. You take a panel off and see Darth Maul going after the clone troopers like you see at the end of Season 7 in Victory and Death. That would have made sense given the context of the Venator, given the context of the figures included. You know, Captain Rex having the bandage, it's clearly based on that final episode. So that would have been like a nice little extra Easter egg, little tidbit, because really there's no interior to this set at all. There's really no functionality with this set. It is simply a display set first and foremost, and really nothing else. I mean, you could use this in a mock in some way or another, but you're buying this to look at every day, and I think that's still just fine with me. But with the cons comes the pros. Obviously, it's a Venator. It's real, it's huge, it's just as long as the Imperial Star Destroyer. In fact, it's way better built than the Imperial Star Destroyer, and it looks accurate in just about every single way. I do think the minifigure choices are excellent. We've wanted Captain Rex and Phase 2 armor to return for so many years now. The aftermarket price of the previous iteration has just skyrocketed, and finally we can have an accessible Captain Rex. Yes, you have to pay $650 to get that figure. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see Captain Rex in some different form to show up in 2024. I think what will make this figure exclusive is probably the arm printing and the head print with the bandage. I think we could see a Captain Rex in the future that has just blue arms and a regular clone trooper face, and that would please pretty much everybody else that can get a normal Rex for a certain price tag, maybe under $30. Obviously, you shouldn't be buying a UCS set simply for minifigures. You should buy it for the set itself, and then the minifigures are just a nice add-on, a nice extra. And speaking of extras, I didn't expect to get Admiral Yularen in this set. I think that was a great choice. It makes total sense. And then we also have these dark red bridges. This signifies that it's a capital ship, that it's the flagship, or Anakin Skywalker's flagship in this case. And I like this choice because it shows that the LEGO Star Wars team was going after the Clone Wars show specifically. You only see the Venator with the red bridges from Star Wars The Clone Wars. You don't see it in Revenge of the Sith, which makes this the very first Star Wars The Clone Wars UCS set ever to be made. And that is a big deal. This is a special variant from the Clone Wars, and it's a real thing. That makes me inherently super excited. Now, it's not all flowers and roses. I do think, to really make it perfect, I think LEGO should have included optional bridge colors, so you could have swapped out the bridges with the light bluish gray version, so you, the fan, could have the choice between displaying it as a capital ship or a normal regular Venator that we see throughout the Clone Wars and in Revenge of the Sith. I think that would have been the perfect choice to have extra pieces. I mean, these pieces are fairly easy to replace. I think I already looked it up. It's like $8 in piece cost on Bricklink. So it's very easy if you want to swap this out and make it look like a normal Venator, which I will do because I plan on buying multiple Venators. I will have 2 more that will have replacement bridges with the light bluish gray color scheme instead of the dark red. So you'll have the flagship, and then you'll have 2 others. And yes, you heard that right. I'm going to spend $1,300 on Venator sets. I am not joking. And if me going out to buy 2 more isn't enough to tell you how much I love this set, I don't know what is, because it truly is the set of my dreams. I mean, it has flaws. It's not perfect. So do I think the UCS Venator is worth $650? Do I recommend this set? Absolutely. Now, I do want to say to all you crazy Clone Wars fans out there that want this set, don't go in debt or bankrupt over trying to get the Venator day one. Be responsible, save up over time if you're interested in this set. It is worth saving up money for, in my opinion. Well, thank you all so much for watching. This is the last 2023 LEGO Star Wars set review of the year. There's more to come in 2024. Lots of great sets that are rumored right now, so make sure you're subscribed to see all of that. I can't wait to be buying 2 more of these come October 1st. Don't forget there's a link down in the description if you want to purchase the set once it comes available. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, LEGO, for listening to fans and finally making what we've all wanted for all these years. This set really makes me happy, and I know I'm not the only one out there. Hope you guys have a great, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.